beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. And we live, jumping right in, Moon in Virgo, Sun in Gemini. What we talking about? You know what I'm saying? What we talking about? Whole lot of talking in the mind. Moon in Virgo, critical thinking. You know what I'm saying? Already, the critical part is Virgo, and the thinking part is Gemini, but they both deal with Mercury, so it's all thinking. There's a stellium in Gemini, and here come Virgo, creating this learning process between, or this frustration between taking those random thoughts, and there's a need now to create order and structure around what it is that what we're considering. You know what I'm saying? It's the end of spring, so decisions need to be made. And I made a decision making video. I didn't even know why I felt the need to make that video, but now it's starting to make sense later on in the day. I'm like, oh wait, it's because that's where we're at right now on a collective scale. It's like decision making, right? It's the end of spring, we're going into summertime, so it's time to lock in to whatever it is you sparked off as a seed or an idea, a spark of imagination that came from thin air. Now it's time to double down on it, and now it's time to lock in on it. And first step of that is going to look like Cancer energy, which is caring about it, right? And going through the sensitive vulnerability process with it. That's the part of Cancer that people don't really consider. It's about the sensitivity of things. So yeah, it's cool to kind of look at something and develop an ego around it and say, yeah, I'm the best at this, and have all the confidence in the world. But see, behind that confidence needs to be a even equal amount of sensitivity and vulnerability as to why it matters. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just see the first part. They see what everybody else is putting online. They see what celebrities do. They see the ego part, the I look cool part. Everybody want to look cool, but the difference between someone who looks cool and is complete whole as an individual who can prosper, the difference between them and somebody who's always going to fall short is what's behind that surface, what's beneath the surface. And if beneath the surface is not an equal amount of sensitivity, care, I don't necessarily want to say empathy, but there has to be, when you're vulnerable with yourself, when you understand your sensitivities, there's a certain level of depth that you're able to connect to within yourself that makes that as within becomes without. So it becomes something that you can connect to others through that level of sensitivity. See, when you lack that going within yourself and connecting to your own sensitivities, this makes you a person who cannot connect properly with other people. This makes you doesn't make you a narcissist, but it gives you narcissistic traits and behaviors. And really matter of fact, scratch narcissist, it really just keep you as a surface level individual. So it's not that you're narcissistic, right? It's just you're too into yourself, but not actually understanding those deep parts of yourself to be able to connect deeply with others. So this just makes you a surface level person. This makes you a person who come around and nobody really remembers your energy because you're not impacting anyone. When you're an impactful individual, you become a key center point of any relationship, any room you walk into, you become a key part of that. And a lot of people yearn for that position, or that they want to feel like they're connected to their loved ones or the people that they meet. They want to feel like when they walk into a room, they shift the vibe. But the reason they don't is because they haven't gone within themselves to figure out, or to, I don't even say figure out. It's when you go within yourself and you start to understand your own sensitivities, your vulnerabilities, these give you strength in ways that you don't really see. And I think I spoke about it in that other video, when it's like people be trying to use these eyes to do what this eye meant to do. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to put it in no specific place on the body physically. But what I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying? You said you're not white. Sorry about, okay. Yeah, the bots here. You know what I'm saying? I told you we made it. So yeah, go ahead and welcome the bots and stuff like that. But for the most part, like I was saying, your internal eyes, where you're trying to connect to certain things and get you to a certain position, right? When you're trying to go within yourself, you're seeing things within you that give you more power to pursue things that you see on the external front. So it's almost like when you're trying to use these eyes to see things within you, this makes you, like I said, it gives you that shallow energy. And with that shallow energy, it prevents you from being able to actually get to that place where we talk about all possibilities, right? Where you can connect on that level. And it's like you start to be able to have a certain amount of, it's almost like that focus. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get into that certain mode, you know, when you're doing the things you're passionate about, when you're doing the things you love, and when you're in that zone, and it's almost like nothing could touch you, right? It's like, boom, okay. That's that space in which you start to create some real things in the world. Shout out Malik. You know what I'm saying? He said all attention is good attention. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it's all energy. It's all energy for real. And so you got to know how to be able to alchemize different things. But what I'm saying is, when you're on your path, right, and you're in that space of all possibilities, when you start to do things in the physical with your body, it's like, again, co-creating with the universe. So this is where you start to create opportunities for yourself, right? Opportunities that become things that you can materialize with. Without that space and that focus, it's not enough. It's like you're going to get met with resistance is going to wear you out. You know what I'm saying? So getting to that space, it helps you keep a certain level of stamina to keep you focused. Because if you're only seeing things in the world, it's almost like eventually you have no choice but to kind of burn out. You know what I'm saying? That imagination, that spark that come from a place that nobody else knows about but you and your spirit, that type of stuff is that magic. That's that magic that makes things, you know, that miracle energy. It's that things that kind of puts things together in a way that, you know, it's like, damn, how could something manifest for me? Like, you know, it's those pockets of reality you jump into, or those portals that's like, whoa, you know, I didn't know I could actually see this in reality. And being able to kind of tap into that space, this is where you actually, you know, yeah, okay, it gives you forward motion. But what happens is, a lot of times everybody is focused with these eyes trying to see things within themselves, so they miss things. It's a lot of overlooking this, overlooking that, and then all of a sudden it becomes a cycle. You know what I'm saying? You keep on doing things based upon fear rather than making choices that come from that confident space of all possibilities, where it's like, okay, even if I don't know what the outcome is, I know I'm willing to jump into this and make something happen that, you know what I'm saying, again, because it's almost like life. When you start to understand life itself, you understand that it's all about seeing what's going to come next. And part of the magician part is being able to direct that energy into the right areas and pockets. So if you're not directing that energy in the right way, this is when you start manifesting things for you that aren't actually for you. You manifested them when you made a decision based upon being in fear, being in a different type of mentality that led you down a wrong path, and that becomes a wrong decision in your mind. Now, a wrong decision doesn't mean that you can't adjust yourself and fix things, because that's the thing. Every day we have a chance and an opportunity to recover, to fix, to adjust. That's just the name of the game. And the better you get with that, right? Because that's one of the key factors about life itself. It's always changing. People naturally, right, on a human side, want to get locked into a certain position. They want to get locked into a certain mentality. They like it when something can be planned out. They like it when they can predict something, right? But when you get too much into that energy, you put yourself, you know what I'm saying, you put yourself in a box. And then when things are naturally changing, just like the seasons do, just like every day is a change, these subtle things, again, you're not making adjustments on that road of life. So it leads to you having to make certain quick movements that, you know, it's almost like you acting irrational, you doing certain things that look like a burning bridge moment, or things collapsing on their own. And you not, again, if you was in a more open free space, you would have seen that maybe a few steps ahead. So you would have already made a certain adjustment that would lead to you being able to sidestep that pothole, instead of actually being again falling victim to it. So when you look at this, right, let's jump right back in, right? So going back to what I was saying about this this time period right now, right? The moon being in Virgo and then Gemini. So all these different thoughts and ideas, you're you know, you were having to kind of choose from going into the summertime. What do we want to care about? What do we want to jump into? What do we want to start building that internal rapport with, that we can start to develop as something that we care about now, that can now become the heart of the lion in Leo season, that can become the thing that we can fixate on and be proud of, that looks like an ego. There's a reason why, and it gets back to my original point, there's a reason why the moon Cancer energy comes before Leo energy. Leo being the bright, the sun, the expression of something. But again, what good is that ego if what's behind it, supporting it, isn't anything real? And that realness comes from your ability to be vulnerable with yourself. So that's really what I'm talking about here. But before we even get to that, you have to come to a decision, a conclusion, which is the third sign in the zodiac, which is Gemini. Boom, Gemini. And it deals with mentality. It deals with thoughts and the thoughts and feelings that you frequent, and figuring out how to organize those things to give some form of discipline or direction to those things, so that they can become something worth caring about. They can become something worth expressing, and they can be something that actually has potential to work for you in the sixth house energy. And that's where it's essentially exalted. That's where your mentality matures. So the moon in Virgo is giving difficulties to us, frustrations that come from the mental realm, in order for us to start to put together that strength on an internal level. You know what I'm saying? In our minds, we have to build that. That's why, again, in the very beginning of this shit, I said, the season, I was like, it's flame and sword season. It's all about your mentality and strengthening that to the point in which you are able to be prepared for the different ways in which life might throw you different things. Different people might say shit. We see it right here live and direct. People just saying a bunch of bullshit, right? But it's all the same. It's just distraction. It's stuff to get you off your task, to get you off of your flow. And it's like, when you really get to that level, you start to see, even individuals who jump into that type of energy, you start to see that they're just trying to siphon you for energy. But you just have to play the game. You have to understand the mental tricks. And when you strong mentally, boom, all of a sudden now they're giving you energy. The quote, the key in all of it is to know how to manage it. And that's maturity. When you get older, that's the difference between an adult and a child. Responsibilities, your ability to take and manage these different things that we deal with, thoughts and feelings. Children express themselves through tantrums because they have to. They don't have a strong enough mentality to be able to manage and handle and express, filter out what's going on within them in a proper, healthy way. As an adult, and a lot of adults lack this because no one taught them that and they forgot it, due to the fact of all the stresses and things of that going on, due to different traumas that they develop based upon parents that didn't teach them how to do these things. And a lot of us had to learn how to do these things on our own. But they're supposed to be adults are knowing how to manage these internal energies within us. Now, on a spiritual scale, it's the same way. It's about awareness. How much awareness can you handle? And when you're aware of so many different things, how do you decipher between what is worth it, what matters to you, versus, like, and by matter, like physical matter, what do we want to actually give awareness to for a extended amount of time to actually bring into my reality to experience, versus the things that don't matter? What do we need to let go of? That includes reactions to certain things. That includes addictions to certain things, in which we cling on to it for the sake of some form of comfort on a mental level. And right, again, you look at the world we in, and there's so many different things that make sense to want to overindulge into things that are going to help us cope with just the monotony of it all, or the intensity of it all, the stress of it all along the lines of a man-made system that wasn't even supposed to have us thinking and feeling this way in the first place. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like these are all the different levels. But right here, getting back to just the moon in Virgo, sun in Gemini, what's going on here, again, these frustrations that's going on a mental level, it's about helping us gain some form of clarity. And again, it's going to first come in that frustration. It's going to come into you trying to make sense out of these different things, different distractions hitting you. And then again, critical thinking, you can become again, everybody on some level is a self-critic. You know, how intense that is and how far that goes depends and varies on the individual. But we criticize ourselves the most. But you got to understand, okay, is it constructive or is it destructive? Is it criticism that, you know, the different ideas and opinions you having on yourself and where you are and where you want to be? Are these things encouraging you to get better? Are you talking to yourself in a way in which you can, okay, yeah, I'm being real with myself, but I'm still giving myself room and grace to be myself, to be a individual going through an experience who didn't know better until now? Are you going to address yourself like that, or are you talking to yourself through the lens of fear, aka you telling yourself you'll never get to a certain point or level because of different things you feel inefficient on doing? You know what I'm saying? I'll never make it there. I'll never do that. Why am I like this? You going down and down a rabbit hole. You going through so many different energies that make it seem as though you hate yourself, and they pile on. And again, like Gemini energy gonna hit it. It's gonna rapid fire. And see, what the thing is with Gemini too, Gemini get so, when things get too heavy for Gemini, they sometimes will throw themselves into a distraction just to get their mind off of it, instead of addressing the situation and actually healing from it and learning from it and getting stronger from it through a mental space, creating better thoughts around it to help them. You know what I'm saying? So again, because Gemini is much like Sagittarius in the escapist energy. People don't really acknowledge it that same way, but Gemini's escape through joking about it, but not dealing with it. You know, yeah, I'll just joke about it, but they're choosing to just take their mind to a different neighborhood, which sometimes can be helpful. But again, at the end of the day, we have to address things. We have to clean things up. You know what I'm saying? We have to be willing to, we have to build ourselves up to be able to approach that subject without having to wear and tear all those same emotions and go through all the, basically feeling like it is us. When we go through different mentalities and stuff, we have to remind ourselves. And see, sometimes it takes years at a time to even do this. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a thing in which you feel like you should feel like you need to rush and try to, like, again, let's say you a Gemini, you got Gemini type energy, and not all Geminis do this, but again, similar to Sagittarius, it'll make a joke out of something, but and choose to distract itself with the other thoughts. But again, sometimes that's healthy to do, but always remember that in life, things repeat that don't resolve. So at some point, you are going to have to approach that thing again. So don't forget. That's just the point. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to go back and clean that up, for yourself. Because if you don't, it'll reemerge in a time in which you didn't expect it to, through somebody else saying something that triggers it and brings you right back to that space. There's a reason why things happen in cycles. And it's the same thing on that internal level with different things that we experience. It might not rear its head for years, but it'll come back in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion if you're not taking the initiative and addressing it. You know what I'm saying? So always remember to go back. You know what I'm saying? But getting back on point, right? So the moon in Virgo right now, see, and all of this is, it can be used to your benefit, because when you think about it, right, again, like I said, we are going into the summertime, so we have to come to a decision by the end of Gemini. Or again, you don't have to do nothing, but that should be where your mind is, because we're going into the summertime. So going into Cancer season, the more you can invest that care energy into the same thing and provide consistency in that manner, the more you'll be able to expand and grow into that, whatever it is that you're trying to bring into existence or manifest for yourself. So that's kind of the mentality right now. And again, manifest for yourself, it don't have to be, it's like, it could be as simple as you just trying to get into a new circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're trying to make more money, again, like, I don't, when it comes to these different things, use them for whatever it is that you want to use them for. Let's be real here. Everybody trying to get into a better, living situation. I get it that money isn't everything, and it's not what, and again, it shouldn't even be what most people are. Well, I can't even say that, because everybody's in a different circumstance. So what you going through, hey, you might actually do need that money. But it's understanding the things beyond that that we're actually asking for, that we're actually working to provide for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Through that money, it's really comfort. It's really a situation in which you can continue to give and support maybe the ones you love and shit like that. So understanding beneath the surface a little further, a little deeper into why that, or maybe not why, but what it is that you're actually trying to, you know, what your intentions are basically with the things that you're doing in the world, that's going back to what you're trying to bring to yourself, you know. And again, it don't got to be that complicated. You know, I just like to give more context so we can get more closer to the root of what we tend to overlook. People tend to overlook what they actually asking for, because they don't, you know, and it leads to them bringing things in their life that they didn't really want, because they didn't get specific. They didn't get to the core of what it is that they actually doing. So they end up doing a bunch of things on top of that that have nothing to do with what they're actually asking for. They think they got to go to certain lengths to do things that, hey, if you just kept it real about the core, what you actually trying to do, you knew what you was doing, you wouldn't have to go through a lot of the extra stuff that people start to think that they have to do to get that same thing. So, when it comes to this energy, right, that's the whole thing. It's critical thinking. Now, Mars is in Taurus, so that's another frustration in and of itself. Taurus being needing us to be slow, steady, working towards things, building up things, right? That consistency. But it's dealing with passion. It's dealing with wanting to just, you know, completely veer off the path and do what it wants to do on its own terms. Mars can't really do that. So again, it creates that energy where frustration bubbles up in and of itself just by having to understand it's time to slow down. Right now with the moon in Virgo, though, is a gift that we have to be able to apply better ideas and practicality that can help Mars cool down a little bit, that can help convey an idea to Mars that's like, yo, Mars, like, we can really build something, but we need to break it down into these steps. We need to make it make sense. We need to do something that's looking like a secure system. And again, if you already played the energies correctly previously, you should already be in a circumstance that it makes sense to start to organize things a little bit more, start to practicalize and slow down. But if you say you didn't plant good seeds in, you know, Mars and Aries, this is why you're probably 10 times more frustrated, because you probably got hit with a last minute energy that was like, oh, wait, I still ain't do this. Oh, wait, I still ain't do that. Oh, wait, I still ain't do that. And now you're trying to race yourself to get everything together when the time has passed for that fast movement. Now it's like you have to really more so work with what you already have. Expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. We should have did all the expanding in the world when Mars was in Aries. Mars is in Taurus now, so we have to contract it. We have to take what it is that we went out and grabbed and organize it in a way that we can now construct a foundation. And really everything is foundational at this point. So that's another reason too why you should, you know, talk to yourself in a way you can work down some of that anxiety that you might have based upon you feeling like you're not where you want to be, you feeling like you still not moving at a rate you should be moving, especially a lot of y'all that been consistent. You know what I'm saying? And like me, I'm consistent in other ways, but you know, I go through times in which I'm not posting a video every single day. But I know, you know what I'm saying, like shout out to Mooney Mercury, baby, shout out to Zay, you know, shout out to Saint Uno. I see, you know, people like them, Dolos, Kales even, y'all, I see them make shit every day, you know what I'm saying? And again, they different processes, and what they're going through is different damn near every day, right? And you know, even them, you know, you could be an individual like them where you still doing everything every day. You doing everything you supposed to, and it still seems like things ain't moving as fast as you want them to. But you got to accept the fact that it's supposed to be like that. And a lot of times when we go through experiences in which we don't, you got to see where rejection, see, what is rejection even? A lot of times what we feel rejected on be based upon us having an expectation to be accepted in that area, right? Or to get something out of something. So when we don't get it, we say, oh, we got rejected. But you got to think about what that process does for your character. And in the best way, right, it can encourage you to start to not only lessen what you attach yourself to as an expectation, but it actually helps you build a certain level of mental strength in which it's almost like, what was I gonna say? It makes you like a harder spirit. It makes you a stronger spirit in general, because it puts you through a decision process, another decision process, where to even move through that, you have to choose to still do things without the return on investment. Because a lot of people choose to stop once they get rejected once. Ah, man, that shit not for me. So you choose to do something else. But those who are still, you know, find it within themselves to want to go ahead and pursue that shit, it's like, boom, that choice alone to come to that conclusion is a sign of synchronicity that you already in that motion. This is a sign of synchronicity that, yeah, I can't be fucked with in that area. You know what I'm saying? And see, when we're talking about all possibilities, the universe, that's respectable in that area, because in order for anything to bring itself into existence, it had to push through. It had to persevere through it. And even though that's an uncomfortable space and not everybody wants to go through it, that's why you don't see a lot of people make it to where they want to go, simply because of that little bit of friction, that resistance that you get whenever you set your sights on something, whenever you choose and decide something. It's always going to be friction. A lot of people fuck up because they sit and they wait and they think that, oh, if I should wait until it's clear for me to make that decision. I should wait until it feel right, till it feel good. And see, wait until shit feel good, you already put yourself in a bad position, because life is not about feeling good. The best things in life happen after you chose to push through after feeling bad. It had nothing to do with your feelings. It had everything to do with your choices. And then after we make a choice, then we can start to accumulate how we feel about it from that space of making a choice. But when we stay stagnant behind the choice and we want to wait till it feel right, the things pass, things that we miss out on everything that way. That's a surefire way to miss out on, you know, what you want to call your blessings or whatever you want to call it. That's really how you miss out on life, because life is not about that. Life is not about feeling good. And to be great at anything, to be at a high level at whatever it is that you're into, you have to commit to feeling like shit and working through that, because how you respond to it is everything. That's really who you are, right? We talk about the moon being the core of you, who you are. How you respond to shit is really a testament to say, this is who I am. And if you giving up at every chance you get when things get a little tough, how can anybody, let alone God, trust you? You shouldn't even expect other humans to trust you. That's how I assess character. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you, Oracle 8. What's good? But that's how I assess character. What do you do when things get a little hard? What do you choose to do? Because that right there is the actual, that's what matters. You know what I'm saying? That's what up, Maya? You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the family. You said, is it collective? Yeah, it's collective. Yeah. If you have these energies though, you know what I'm saying, you know, but it's collective, yeah. Talking about life in general. But you know what we're all experiencing as an energy, you know what I'm saying? There's levels to it. Yeah. Shout out Oracle 8 and Maya 22. Now real people here. You see, when you start a live stream these days, especially when you really hit a certain level, that right there is what you're gonna see every time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hey, shout out to the Geminis. Happy Star Day, if it hasn't passed already. But that's what you're gonna see, especially now in this new age too. That's all they're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you starting out, especially if you on the ground level of anything you trying to build. At the very core, you gotta prove yourself that you strong enough to handle little shit. This is little shit, like people talking shit online. I used to play Xbox, boy. When you would get into a game and they would tear your ass up just talking. You know what I'm saying? Man, this ain't nothing but real shit. But anyway, off of that, yeah, so that's what we're dealing with right now. Moving into the summertime, that's what this season was all about. It's mental strength, building up that mentality to be able to say, okay, yeah, no, I can make a choice, I can make a decision, and what's backed and supported by that decision is a lot of, like, basically you could look to the new moon in Gemini, right? When we went through that, and what I was saying about that energy, when everything we was doing from that point was starting to speak the language of our true self, being able to know ourselves on that level, mental wise, right? And go through the mental processes of speaking up, being willing to be wrong, taking in new information that's helping us construct our ideas better. Now we're in the third decan of Gemini. That's that Aquarius energy that helps us now come to a more fixated point decision mentality around these many different thoughts. So these many different thoughts now have a whole different purpose. Is mentally we should all be a lot more mature if you've been planting the right seeds. And planting the right seeds just looks like you speaking up, being willing to hear the be wrong and have the debate, have the mental, go through the mental testing to go up and see if what you think is actually something worth fighting for. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like when we even esoterically, thoughts, words, communication is depicted through the sword. So the sword, the tool itself, what do we know a sword to do? It has to make cuts that lead to logic, things being cut out, cutting things out, cutting information out, being able to also pierce through things. When we communicate, we pierce through the minds of others, and they can receive now what it is our information is, our point. You know what I'm saying? So that in and of itself is what we are supposed to be using communication for initially. What we do after that is based upon what you are trying to do as a being. You might be trying to bring people together, you know what I'm saying? You might be trying to separate people. Like you said it feels like we are being separated by our choices. And yeah, because if I choose to do something, right? Like if I choose to do something, the people around me are affected. Especially the closer you get, from spouse to children. Let's say you got, you know, and again, that comes with like being older. The older you get, the more connections and the more deep connections are with the people around you. So every decision you make, you know, it starts to affect more and more people. The more older you get, the more responsibilities you get, right? More kids you got, blah, blah, blah. But the thing about it is, though, again, like when I was saying in that decision-making video, where it comes to what is a bad decision is a decision made out of fear, because that's not your true self speaking. That's something else that it's almost like you're on autopilot for a second and adopting a different mentality that can protect you from what you're afraid of. You're being possessed by what you're afraid of. So you're making decisions for another spirit, for something else that's haunting you, versus you making decisions that come from your truth. When you make a decision out of truth, yeah, it's going to separate you from things that don't align with you. And sometimes it gets deep, where you have to leave somebody that you once cared about. And again, it don't have to be that extreme either. It don't have to be to the extremes of never talking to you again, and I have to completely change my life and change my address, change my identity, change my name, move to an island like with Nature Boy and da, da, da. It don't got to be that extreme, but it is. See, the ones who's supposed to be aligned with you, they gonna be around. People part of your soul tribe, your soul group, whatever you want to call it. People that resonate with you, people who think like you and belong in your presence. Even the people who maybe don't agree with everything. And see, I seen somebody say something that I thought was real powerful too. Communication is nothing to do with communication has nothing to do with accepting. Like when I'm talking, a conversation isn't meant for accepting things. It's about understanding. So you understanding where someone is coming from, and you leave it there. Whether you want to join them on that path or whether you disagree, again, that's irrelevant. But you understand where they're coming from, and people don't realize that. Some people try to have conversations to get everyone to agree, and that's not really the point of it all. You're not meant to agree, and you don't, as the person also communicating, you don't need everybody to agree with you to do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? But again, there's there's context and there's discernment that has to be placed into that. You know, you said having a pure heart is protecting me. Exactly. When you true to yourself, you are protected, because every choice you make is coming from choices you was meant to make. So it's not about, that's where we start to get to where it's like, yeah, there's no real right or wrong. And you on the right side of energy in theory, because you're doing stuff from your truth, even if it does hurt people around, like, you know what I'm saying. But see, doing things from your truth, even if it hurts people around you, it's not coming from a place of intentionally trying to hurt. So of course, on a surface level, you still have the responsibility to mend those relationships and you know, soothe those connections that you need to do. But at the same time, it's your truth. And see, people who meant to be around you will respect that over time, even if they don't at first. Said Julianne, she said, so much solar energy bombarding Earth this week. Listen to Stefan Burns' daily energy on the planets and updates. Yeah, I don't know who that is, but yeah, it's energy every day. You know what I'm saying? It's energy every day. The thing about the energy right now is there's a stellium in Gemini, so everybody just overthinking everything. Everybody is over communicating too. Some things don't need to leave your mouth, and that's the thing about Moon and Virgo too. Sometimes it's cool to just shut up first and figure out what you even trying to say, because you could be just talking out of your own fear and projection of what you don't want to happen. You could be talking out of what you think is going to go wrong in someone else's decision, when you really need to be worried about your own circumstance. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing too with Virgo energy. It's like sometimes you trying to fix everything in your life in shambles. Chill. And sometimes people don't deserve your help, Virgo. Sometimes you got to let people, you got to mind your business and let people, you know. But I know Virgos feel like that ain't right to live that way. Virgos want to help. Virgos want to be a part of things and work with stuff that seems like it's not going to work because they feel like nobody else is. And you right, nobody else is. But again, that don't got to be your cross to bear, because y'all just like Pisces, which we do it on an emotional level. We see somebody in need who can't help themselves or emotionally struggling with something. Here we come trying to give them better philosophies and encouragement, faith and belief. And then that didn't lead to nothing but us being in a situation where we look stupid and delusional. So, you know what I'm saying? But on that Virgo energy, reacting and responding to that, we have to know how to mitigate those mental processes. Now, let's look at what's in Gemini. We got Venus there, right? So our love matters is tied up into what we're thinking and overthinking about. Also pleasures, right? And that's, again, adding to some of that Gemini energy to want to just kind of run away and laugh, versus maybe add a little bit more curiosity to dealing with things that are more difficult to deal with. You know what I'm saying? When things kind of upset you, you can choose to be sarcastic, run away and laugh. But I don't know, you know what I'm saying? You might need to actually use that laughing energy to actually go back in and analyze it for what it is. That still jovial energy that they be carrying, childlike energy that Geminis kind of be in, can help them soothe themselves as they analyze a little deeper about what it is that their issue is with the situation. And see, that'll help you communicate better. That's another reason why a lot of times it's hard to communicate, because you haven't spent time really deciphering what it is that's going on inside of you. And kind of going back to what I was saying about, you know, external eyes versus internal eyes. You know what I'm saying? You have to use both. People be using their external eyes to look internally. Something hurts you on a deep level. You was triggered by something. You might not be able to see it on the surface. That person just, you know, a person could say a slick comment. You know, somebody, you go walk by, somebody be like, nice shoes, and it triggers something in you, right? Now, when you look at it with these eyes, this motherfucker talking about my shoes and shit like that. Oh, it's got something to do with what I'm dressed. I paid a lot of money for this outfit. You ready to fight. But when you look in the internal eyes, you see, damn, nah. Actually, back then when I was a kid, there were certain things I feel like I didn't have. And there were certain ways I wasn't cared for about it, you know what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. All that deep emotional stuff that came from, that was where the trigger was. So when you bring both of these things up to the surface to make a decision now, right, you and this person's face, you can make a decision based upon truth rather than the fear aspect, which is getting wrapped up in the trigger, not acknowledging that these things that are, you know, you feeling have nothing to do with what's going on right in front of you. That person didn't know all that about you, so you can't really, you know, now you trying to fight them, you end up in jail. And it's another way in which you was haunted by all those things, that those demons and stuff like that, that's keeping you in certain cycles and shit like that, the fear, versus you making a decision that's more clear-headed because you had equilibrium. You could see within you to understand the trigger itself. Boom, you connected those wires. Now you in the present. Now they might have disrespected you, but you can address them in a way that you maintain your respect, you maintain your self-respect, and you maintain a certain level of freedom in the world, where you're not just acting out of certain things to be crazy. And see, that's kind of like even how Mars and Taurus needs to be acting for us, where we're slower to anger towards certain things, simply because we understand our aggression and our frustrations a lot deeper. And again, even looking at Taurus, sometimes people say Taurus is surface level, but Taurus is very deep in the sense of how they stabilize how they go about practicality, because it's about that consistency. But Tauruses are, you know, I like to look at Taurus almost like similar to turtles too, because it's like it's like their slowness, their carefulness. It's like, it's for a reason. There's wisdom in it. You know what I'm saying? How they go about things, a slow, steady, subtle approach, subtlety. You know what I'm saying? And the nuances of things. Tauruses are very good at that. You know what I'm saying? You might think they being lazy about something, and they very well might be. But when Taurus is ready to get some work done, they know all the subtle ways to move in which to keep something running for an extended period of time, way further than anybody would, you know, anybody else does. You know what I'm saying? That's that Tauruses get cold with it. So I mess with Tauruses. But so going back to what's in Gemini, we got Venus there, you know, so things that we love, appreciate, value. We have Jupiter there too. So wisdom and what we are experiencing itself. Again, it feels intense, especially with Jupiter in the mix. Jupiter got our mind open to everything that's happening right now. So it's like these experiences are, we're experiencing our thoughts as we get them, and we've been getting thoughts at a rapid pace. So it's like, it feels like so much is going on in such a short amount of time. You know what I'm saying? But you know, all of that is leading towards us needing to make a decision, and that decision is kind of what Cancer season becomes. The next, because we're moving into a full moon. Hold on, yeah, because where's the moon at? The moon is in Virgo, so we at the square of it, of the waxing. So yeah, it'll be a full moon in Capricorn. Because the last full moon is what? Sag. So, okay, so we lead into a full moon in Capricorn. So a full moon, we know that represents satisfaction. You know, being satisfied in that area that we have Capricorn in. So with Capricorn, that's going to look like being satisfied with our status about something. It's being satisfied with our resources around things and our ability to initiate practicality and systems. So right now, okay, we had that new moon in Gemini. So the new moon in Gemini, damn, with the new moon to, hold on, I'm just kind of thinking about this type of energy, because it's almost like, okay, we jumped in on a new moon in Gemini, working with our mentality, right? Boom, okay, developing this new mentality, this new language for ourselves, new ways to kind of deal with these processes. And it's leading towards forms of status. So it's almost like there's a certain sense of ourselves that we're trying to put together, you know? And again, it moving into the summertime, it really is that. It really is a form of us wanting to embody. It's almost like a completion of things, where moving into the summertime, there's this status that we want to feel satisfied in, as far as what we've been establishing as this new mentality, how it would think, how it would communicate and talk and stuff like that. Now we're kind of trying to shape out what the figure itself is, because that's what kind of Capricorn is. It's like the authority of things, and feeling like you are the authority of something. Being able to kind of work through restrictions. It's a certain, like, when you think about Capricorn type energy, that's the archetype itself, being able to handle business. So on some level, when it comes to what we're moving into during this waxing period to full moon cycle, it's like we're moving to a place where we can feel sturdy and strong in a certain space. And that, to feel strong and sturdy in the space, you have to first develop the mentality around it. So it's like, you know, if you were to build a house, Gemini would be like you kind of figuring out the iron framing, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the framing going to be like, and figuring out how these wires are going to be connected. Because it's like Mercury is like the nervous system in a sense. So you're doing a lot of that wiring right now. So a lot of, even with the purpose of the mental strength at the moment is getting that firmware together, being able to see where these wires connect to create that frame. And then the full moon is being satisfied with how that frame is structured. And it's like, okay, now if I'm satisfied with how it's structured and how it's organized, now I can move forward with way more confidence. I can start to utilize these different things and have these resources flowing. So right now, that's basically what's going on during this moon cycle. This portion of the moon cycle, though, is with Virgo, is to criticize and adjust maybe the way we're thinking about things and the way we're going about communicating them. You know, but at the same time, it's like I said, not going overboard to the point we stagnate ourselves. We just need to get to the point and start to see, okay, let's clean this up a little bit, let's clean that up a little bit, and then it turns into the next moon cycle is going to be Libra. So that's going to be another aspect where it's going to be a gift between the sun and the moon, where now we're going to be dealing with relationships. It's going to be forms of relating on a one-on-one level as far as what we're connected to. So we're trying to establish relationships in a Gemini-like way, which is going to look like us taking these different ideas that we've been curious about and communicating these things to open up different relationships, to dive in and create balance, but also internally creating balance with these different thoughts that we have. But again, part of Virgo, any earth energy, is like condensing things. So with all these different thoughts that we are, you know, have at our disposal, how can we condense them to make them make sense, to formulate some kind of, you know what I'm saying, system that looks like it can work for us? You know what I'm saying? So consider that when it comes to the many different things that you want to do. Start taking these things down and you know, shaping these things up. Shout out Rare Vision. Shout out Excalibur. He said my North Node is Virgo. That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? So again, so this is like energy that you probably getting more familiar with in this lifetime, because your South Node being Pisces, that's what you come from. You come from that imagination and kind of going with the flow. But you know that in this lifetime, it's about kind of maybe organizing things and creating more routine around certain things, you know, being a little more responsible with certain stuff. Yeah, and that's a key word right now too, even with Mars and Taurus. Responsibility. Not really. Like, in a sense it is. It's almost like you gotta really understand that for anything you're trying to establish for yourself, it is your responsibility to get up every day and make that work, even through the frustrating time and through the times in which it seems like it might not, it's not working at the moment, you know what I'm saying? But if you committed to something, you have to kind of get up and put those pieces together. You know, it's your responsibility to do that. But yeah, so moon being in like I was saying before, so moon going into Libra is going to start to look like that. It's like everything right now that we're cleaning up and being critical on, as the moon slides into Libra, it'll be more of a harmonious energy, with at least being open to communicate about it. But before we get to that, the moon in Virgo opposite Saturn at the moment too, feeling very uncomfortable with reality. And again, that's another aspect in which can start to trigger us wanting to worry about certain things and stress certain things that, again, is it stressing you in a way that's pushing and motivating you to do more, or is it kind of holding you back? Is it making you more like self-sabotage, like where you're doing things already, but you're putting more pressure than you need to on you at the current moment? So just accept the fact that right now, when it comes to any dream you're trying to build, part of what's making you uncomfortable is knowing that it's time to slow down. But again, embrace that time and start to work out some of the kinks on that realistic level, so that you can make those adjustments to make something work for you, you know, because that'd be the issue too. It'd be like you don't realize where you know, the key of it is to embrace when it's time to slow down and let's get some of these kinks out. You know, moon opposite Saturn is a good chance to kind of see where maybe what you was thinking about real, or thinking what you needed to take care of as a responsibility, actually you don't need to be addressed at the moment. It's like you was trying to do something that pertained to your dream, and you're starting to see, well, damn, that's kind of more of an illusion. I feel like I need to do more of this though. It might be something, and again, the difference of it could be the creative aspect of it, but it's like, damn, I don't know, I actually need to do more marketing. You know, the creativity is actually done. I just thought I needed to do more work on it. You know, you thought it needed more responsibilities. You thought it needed more of this, that, and the third. And it's like, no, actually, we need your attention in a different area. That's what that opposition could do for you. You might be looking at a certain, like you got this dream and goal. You was looking at a certain aspect that is a delusion. It's like you didn't need to be responsible for that at the moment. Instead, you need to care more about this. And again, any feeling and doubts that you're getting about what it is that you're working on or working towards, that's the reason too. You know, you feel those doubts and criticisms for a reason, you know, so that worrying energy can be helpful because it can start to give you attention and alerts as to what needs to be fixed and what needs to be adjusted. But for the most part, you know, keep in mind that it's just this transit. When the transit passes, you're gonna feel way different. You might even start to you know, feel too good about it. Like, oh yeah, nah, that shit good, I don't need to address it. So don't forget it. That's why, like, even writing stuff down and work on and fix might be beneficial to you. If you journal and things like that right now, could be a good time to kind of just note certain things that you want to adjust in your life, just so you have a reference when the energy shifts to go back to these things and get these things addressed in different energies though. Because again, you still applying the same attention, right, to fixing that thing, but when the moon shifts into Libra, it's going to look a totally different way. But you'll remember what, you know, what the initial idea or intent was. Like, oh yeah, this is a trait I wanted to start to work on. This is something I wanted to add and apply in a new space. That's the whole point of journaling too. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to go have reference points to your starting point. And these things help you get things done, because now you reminded yourself, oh yeah, now I can use some of this Libra energy to adjust this characteristic, this character trait, or do more of this thing that I want to do to help me develop my dream or manifest my goals and be ready for when it's time to materialize my goals, you know. So really is a lot of, again, that critical thinking, for better or for worse. For better, this is a powerful time to really you know, get certain things listed out as to what you're trying to do with your mind. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of depends on what you're trying to do with your mind. Some of us are trying to make more money with our mind. Some of us are trying to you know, get into a better circumstance. Some people are trying to get into a relationship with their mind. Some people are trying to use their mind to get out of a situation. So whatever you're trying to do with your mind, with the moon in Virgo, take some time to start to write that out. Just the ideas and the processes you're going through mentally, as far as what bullet points, like what it is, like what am I doing with my mind, you know. And as you clear that up, again, as this energy continues to shift, boom, now you have somewhat of a blueprint. And these are the type of things that's going to matter during the full moon in Capricorn, because it's like status. Now, you might not understand, you misunderstand how status at the full moon point, what that means for Gemini right now. And you got to think, how do Geminis ruin their status? I tell you, the first one, y'all should already know. Talking too damn much. The quality of what they talking about. Being mindless, being scattered, looking scattered. You know what I'm saying? When you look scattered, what's your reputation? I can't trust that person. I can't rely on that person. Unreliable, flighty, unpredictable, but not in a, people don't trust unpredictable people. You can still be unpredictable. You could be predictably unpredictable and be way more likable than someone who's just unpredictable, too spontaneous. It's like, because you can't rely on them. Somebody who is predictively unpredictable, you trust them still because you know, like, oh, I know you're going to say the weird thing, or I know you're going to do something unique. I know you're going to do something out of the ordinary. I know you're going to probably oppose this. You could trust that. But somebody who just truly, you don't know what side of them you're talking to, you can't trust that, right? See, these are the negative aspects that will lead to a full moon in Capricorn that won't be beneficial to you. It'll look like you being unsatisfied because that status that you have isn't strong. And that's why right now, like I was saying even earlier, I think with the moon and Leo video, truth. You know what I'm saying? Truth. Like, if you're not doing a lot of things from your truth at the moment, like, it's going to show. If you're being facetious, if you got secrets and things like that, you're not being truthful, it's going to show, in one way or another. So you have to just be mindful of that. And in ways you won't even be aware to it. You know what I'm saying? You'll just kind of start to see certain things move around you. And you as soon as you see it move and shift, you'll know. It'll like in the back of your mind, you'll be like, damn, yeah, I wasn't truthful about that. And see, the thing about it is truth, yeah, there's the act of telling the truth, right? But then there's also truth as just knowing yourself enough and being honest with yourself on that level to make decisions based upon that versus you still settling for what you can get with being afraid. You got all these goals and stuff, and it's like that. You just settle for whatever you can get, crumbs and stuff like that. But you still afraid. You're afraid to go through certain changes. You're afraid to make certain movements towards things that you know you want, but you still lying, you know what I'm saying, to yourself on some level and degree. But right now, again, moon in Capricorn is going to show that, because at the end of it all, the satisfaction is like the people around you. Do they look at you as responsible? Or and again, they're not really, let's take other people's opinions out of the equation. Let's just say you and yourself. Are you going to have that status of being reliable or consistent on some level? Or, what you stand for? Are you standing on truth? That would really be it. Are you standing on truth? And if you are, it's going to look like certain resources and things of that nature are available to you because of the status you built off of the Gemini rapport building. But if you spend a lot of Gemini gossiping, you spend a lot of Gemini season talking about shit that is irrelevant and talking too much about certain things other people don't need to be involved in, people are going to have certain ideas that threaten that status you standing on. And again, too many of those, you're going to start to sense that, and it's going to lead you to be unsatisfied about what you're standing on. It's not sturdy enough. It's a slow up of resources. It's going to look like, damn, like, can I trust and rely on this? You're going to feel like, damn, like my system, I don't have a real system around this. Moon going to slide in Aquarius, network going, you know what I'm saying? Again, all those things you said about that coworker is going to come up in the conversation, maybe with your supervisor and shit like that. You like, oh shit, I didn't think that was going to be the case. I didn't know this was going to affect my network like this. Start going downhill, you know what I'm saying? Pisces, you're gonna find yourself emotional, somebody emotional about you. You caught up in some kind of delusion because you was talking about this and that. Now people think you this and think you think that. Oh shit. You was too scattered. Now these ideas ain't go nowhere. You getting anxiety because now you really don't know what to pick. You can't make no decision going into Cancer season. You don't know what to care about. You might care about nothing. Get yourself left with nothing. You know what I'm saying? You might, it's different ways. Moon slide into what's after Pisces? Aries. You know, now you want to fight. Now people want to fight you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody heard what you said. Yo, time to fight, time to squabble. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah. I was trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to help you. Moon going to Taurus. Now it's solidified. Now it's and the moon next to Mars and frustrated and shit like that. Come on. You know, so on and so forth. You know, new moon in Cancer. Now you know, again, after this is after the full moon in Capricorn is gonna be the new moon in Cancer. So that's gonna be a whole new thing to care about, basically. But you know, new vulnerabilities. It should be new vulnerabilities, because this whole time period is a certain kind of we should be already dealing with our current vulnerabilities. And it's almost like when you take your vulnerabilities and you use them as an ego, think of taking something that was watery and putting it to fire. It evaporates. This is what the healing process kind of is. It's a form of letting go. And by letting go, you allow something to transform into something that can be released from you and put back into the environment, right? And again, you did it in a positive way, versus what a lot of people do. They just be in their ego, but it don't be enough water to evaporate. So the fire just starts to burn other things around it. It starts to burn other things to the ground, versus when you use vulnerability as a ego, boom, it evaporates. It becomes something that gives back to the environment as new oxygen, new energy that could be used by plants and animals, and you know what I'm saying? It goes back, starts to turn into rain, condense again and shit like that. You see the process in your own life. If you think about the water cycles in your own life, this kind of like what that is. And this is the difference between someone who live a peaceful life that they happy with versus a person who lives a miserable life, because everything is built on the wrong things. It's like the environment cycle is chaotic. You know what I'm saying? He said Cancer is about caring and boundaries, right? Yeah, Cancer season is about caring. It's about initiating comfort. So, you know, to initiate comfort can feel uncomfortable, but it's about, yeah, it's about caring. And again, initiating comfort, like I was saying, can feel uncomfortable. That's kind of like what boundaries are. You know, in order for you to feel comfortable in the space, you have to speak up and express what it is you like and don't want, what you want and don't want in that space. And again, some people can not like that, and that's causing friction. But you know, we have to confront that to get that space that we want. So yeah, it's about you know, it's about caring, boundaries, comfort, initiating new feelings around things. So even with new things you're trying to do, you have to create new feelings about it, you know. And it's kind of, yeah, kind of goes back into my point too, like with this energy. It's like, as we go into Cancer, we have to that's really what we're gonna need to be doing. That it's like all that we're dealing with now that seems kind of vulnerable, but with our mentality that we're trying to construct, right, it's all going towards us being able to you know, initiate a new feeling about this. You know, now that I'm speaking my new language, I need to feel confident when I speak it. Now that I'm thinking this way, this is my new mentality, I need to feel comfortable thinking this way. Because having it, like, I call it this mental flame and sword season, because it's like we're taking this mentality that we birthed in a new moon and we're putting it to test, having the debates, willing to have the conversations, willing to be wrong, willing to be criticized, willing to give criticism. And through all this, it feels like we getting beat into the ground low key, you know what I'm saying, mentally, especially, you know. But the key of it is to lead it to as we build up that strength, we get to the end of Gemini season, we go into Cancer, and it's like by the time we hit the Cancer new moon, we can initiate a new way to feel about this mentality that looks like us feeling comfortable in it. So we took something that was extremely uncomfortable and we made comfort out of it. We made heaven out of hell, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Not too much on that phrase though, you know. But and again, people who stuck in hell, they mentally in hell. They didn't speak up about what it is that they heart was on their heart. They didn't speak up about their truth. They spoke about others, they spoke lies, they spread the wrong things, and these things became what their mentality is seen as. And see, that creates a issue, because what your mentality seen as, now you're being attacked by other people's perceptions. Now, other people's perceptions don't matter, but the more and more you build perceptions around you based upon you making decisions not out of truth, you make your own life harder, because that's that many more things you have to go through in order to get your truth out. And a lot of people give up because it starts to become too much. It piles up on them. And, you know, that process in of itself has nothing to do with you making money. You getting up every day and going to your job. So you dealing with life. And then on an internal level, you got this going on. So this be your personal life. And it's, I don't know, that's why people be, you know, kind of going crazy and shit like that, because it's a lot to deal with. You know, if you're not, you know, that's why spirituality matters, because you got to take care of that internal world, and that internal world determines these relationships you have. You know, it'd be different if we lived in a world in which it wasn't important to relate. It wouldn't matter so much. You would just go up, get money, and do your thing. But everybody got a mama, everybody got a dad, you know what I'm saying? Again, your relationship to them might be different, but like everybody got things they came from, things that they connected to, you know what I'm saying? You know, people in your life that you connected to and shit like that. It creates these different pockets of energy that, you know, again, the reflection, reflection of them, what they appear themselves to be, is a direct route to certain things you're connected to, whether it be a trauma or it be a perception, or, you know what I'm saying, and depending on the quality of your relationship, is that quality relationship you got with yourself on that level, you know. But yeah, so last thing I'm gonna say, moon in because moon is in, what's it at, Virgo, in conjuncting your north node, in conjuncting Chiron. So misunderstanding mistakes at the moment. Again, you might not be realizing where you're making a mental mistake, but I just told you pretty much where the mental mistakes are going to come from. You know, that Virgo energy, just worrying about the wrong stuff. You know, you don't need to worry about everything, but consider what it is that's popping up on your mind to pay some attention to, and figure out what it is that needs to be adjusted for you to feel more comfortable in that area. But don't spend too much time being critical for no reason, and don't spend too much time on one thing, you know. But also don't get too bombarded by too many things and try to do too many things at one time. In conjunction the North Node, misunderstanding how it even applies to your spiritual path. But again, I just told you, this is what matters, because this is helping us get to a better decision by the end of Gemini season, because we're going into the summer. So when we go into the summer, you know, we have that period of time before the new moon in Cancer to help us get enough information to make a decision on that, you know what I'm saying, on the new moon. But the solstice itself is going to hit us, and that's just you know, the sun going into that new phase. So we are going to feel like it's time to make that decision. But the new moon in Cancer should be the support for that decision, right? You really should make, you know, be thinking about that decision and make that decision going into Cancer season. And then what house you have, this will let you know the area of life that's happening. Yeah, I think that's about it though. You know what I'm saying? So thank y'all for coming through. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. You know what I'm saying? The people who coming by, the newcomers. You always love when the newcomers come through, because it helps me know that I'm, you know, it's reaching somebody, it's reaching people. So that's the whole goal of all this. If you are in Atlanta, Georgia, or trying to come through, please come slide with us at the 717 conference going down July 13th. Y'all know I gotta speak on it, you know what I'm saying? Saturday, July 13th in Atlanta. You know, If you don't know where the information is, it's going to be in the description. Tickets are on sale right now. And then we have a form if you want to be a volunteer. Volunteers can be performers. Please, we need performers. We want, you know, any talent you have, even if you just make art, you know what I'm saying? Boom. Please, you know, sign out the volunteer form. We'll either put you on stage, or, you know, you can have, we want to have different exhibits and stuff like that. So whatever you do, let us know. And if you want to be a part of the show, you can. Also, volunteers could be people who want to help behind the scenes, the crew. Also, what else about camera, you know what I'm saying? You a photographer, you a videographer, come through, you know what I'm saying? Work with us, help us, collaborate, and let's make something fantastic happen, you know? Is that it? I think that's about it. I think I'm missing something, but for the most part, again, the information will be in the description. And if you still need more information, just email me at 717conference.info@gmail.com. Also, you could email me there if you're looking to get a creative consultation, astrology consultation. Just let me know. Yeah, other than that, much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.